Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome to another episode of How I Doubled, the show where we take a look at businesses that have doubled their turnover in the last 2 years. My name's Kvist, and I'll take you through the journey today. How would you like to take a $20,000 bank loan and turn it into a business turning over in excess of $6 million in just 5 years? Well, good news. Our guest tonight has done exactly that, and I'd like to welcome from electricitywizard.com.au, Alan Belkin. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here, Pete. Really nice to be here.
Now, tell me, Alan, it's not all rosy and peaches and poetry in business, is it? Let's give the viewers a stark reality before we get going.
Okay. So, first things first, I think that I just want to start by saying this. 5 years ago, if you had asked me, would I be sitting where I'm sitting, talking about how to grow a business from 20,000 in debt to 6 million a year, I would have said you're insane. I mean, that's just the truth. The second thing I want to say is that I'm incredibly humbled to be here. And what I wanted to do when I came in preparing for today was give everyone a real perspective about what it's actually like in the last 5 years. And you said it, it's not been peaches and cream. I've woken up every day, probably in the last 5 years, experiencing some degree of something between fear and concern or worry. And the reality is that if you're growing a business, you're pushing the outer edges of your comfort zone. So you're pushing yourself and you're having to stretch your mind and all of what's possible that you think is possible, so you're naturally going to be in fear. So everyone that's watching that's growing a business is going to be dealing with some version of fear and some version of dealing with concern about what it is going to take for them to take action on the things that are really important. And so there are two themes, I think, to the last 5 years. The first is, and this is the most basic thing, and if everyone watching just took one thing away, it'd be around action, and the second thing is going to be around dealing with fear. Because if you can deal with fear in business, if you can deal with your own personal demons in business, you can conquer absolutely anything. And literally every avenue and every door becomes available to you. But it's why this self-help industry and the business industries, the education industry is so big, is because people are looking for solutions on how to double their business, grow their business, and they're looking for things like in here, as in solutions to change their mindset, fix something that's going on in their head, or they're looking for things that are going to make them feel better about the circumstances. And I think the message is really simple. In the last 5 years, there's been one simple thing that's allowed the business to go from 20,000 in debt. And by the way, during the process, it's not like it was we made profits from day one. That didn't happen. So that's like let's not kid ourselves. But the one thing wasn't dealing with necessarily the stuff in here or the circumstances. The one thing that made any kind of difference in growing the business was taking action on something. And so a lot of the things we're going to talk about today are going to be about what does it take for people to get off their asses and actually get in gear. And I hope we don't have to be politically correct about it, because the truth is, the difference is going to be, if you're going to make any money and you're going to grow a business at all, you're going to have to deal with shit. And you're going to have to deal with your own emotional stuff. You're going to have to deal with people around you criticizing you, telling you you can't do it. You're going to have a whole bunch of stuff you're going to deal with. And nothing is going to be possible unless people that are watching, everyone watching this, is going to be able to get off their asses and take action out of this. So I hope that everything we talk about, all the strategies, all the techniques, all the different bits and pieces, all got to come back to action. And action is the only thing that's going to allow you to make more sales. It's going to allow you to get more leads. It's going to allow you to improve your AdWords account. It's going to allow you to get the right people. And so the thing is, when we talk about today, and I want to talk about this anyway, I'm sure we've got a lot of things you want to talk about too, but one of the major things is what's going to get in the way of taking action. And so we'll start with that at least. And one other thing, I started incredibly humble. I had 4 or 5 companies that I built before this one, and a lot of them didn't work. And I think that when I'm speaking to business people today, a lot of them are saying, I'm expecting that my business is going to be successful in 6 months. or 12 months. Business isn't successful for 3, 4, 5 years. And, every day is a battle. And so, anyway, let's start with that. But, what are the things that we want to really talk about today? What are some of the critical things?
So first of all, I just want to say that's one of the best openings I've ever seen to a show. And anyone that's tuning in, they can probably switch off now. You've had the first 5 minutes is exactly what you need for your business to go out and get started. Thanks for joining us. No, I'm just kidding. But like from the heart, right?
Right.
That's where that came from.
Yes.
It's the truth.
I have to tell you something. And I didn't want to say this when I came on, but I'm going to say it anyway. I probably wanted to quit my business and electricitywizard.com.au. I wanted to drop it and forget about it, probably about at least 200 times. People think, I remember the nights when I used to stand, I'm going to tell a quick story. I remember this one night, I was standing I live in this beautiful apartment, I lived physically right next to my office. And I was standing on the balcony, and there's this little glimpse of a lake, and outside from the apartment, you can kind of just see it. It's Albert Park Lake for anybody that lives in Melbourne. If you live around the world, Melbourne's the best city. I was looking, and I remember days at a time, not necessarily consecutively, but so many days I wanted to drop whatever I was doing. And I wanted to quit. Because I was dealing with stuff. I was dealing with every problem that every business person's ever going to deal with. A lack of revenue, rising costs, staff which may or may not show up the next day, right? They pull sickies at 9 p.m. for the next day, and we're a sales business. So, by the way, we probably should spend a minute talking about what we actually do, right?
That was my next question here.
What do we do?
Yeah, what is electricitywizard.com.au?
So, electricitywizard.com.au. So here's what our business is. In the Australian market, we're a bit unique around the world. So there's a global audience, and I think people are going to have different experiences of electricity and gas. But we are an online website that we drive a lot of traffic digitally. We're solely essentially a digital business. We're the best in the country at what we do. And what we do is we drive traffic to our website through a whole bunch of sources for people that are looking to save money on their electricity and their gas bills. So in Australia, you can choose which power company you go with. You don't always have that choice in other parts of the world. We're very lucky. There's probably like 20 companies in Australia you can choose from. And consumers have a really hard time choosing the company that they're going to choose to save money. So what we do and where we come in, we've got a massive sales team, and it's grown, it's fluctuated between, we started with 1 and now we're up to 30, 35, 40 people at one time. And we help people, when they call us, find the right power company, and then we switch them. That's what we do. And not everybody around the world has that option. You have it with your telco company, but not with your energy company. So, but the essence of our business, there's 2 wheels to it. We generate leads online, and then we sell them in a call center in Australia. And the really basic 2 engines of our business is digital marketing, the lead generation, that's what drives us, and then a great culture and great people, which allow us to help customers switch and save on their power bills. That's the essence of our business.
And everything that we've talked about leads us beautifully into the first point that I have on my list here, which is foundation. Foundation being key to why you were able to double the turnover of the business in the last 2 years. So foundation, though, is not just one thing.
Yes.
It's multifaceted.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
First things first, authenticity. I just want to speak about that briefly, right? Because anyone that's running a business may at times feel like they have to be somebody other than themselves, or they have to somehow change themselves to be successful. And you know what I found is really ironic? I spent 5 years unchanging myself and undoing a lot of the programming that I thought I had to change.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, so here's an example. I always was afraid of criticism publicly. I never grew up as a successful kid and like a popular kid. Anyone that went to Brighton Secondary College is going to verify that. I was never the popular guy. And the reality was I was the nerdy kid that was walking around, and I absolutely hated. You think I could do this, like speaking like this? This was like a pipe dream 5 years ago. I was nervous, I was edgy, I was twitchy, I was weird. I'm still weird. Anybody? I think I'm pretty weird. So, people think that. So where was I going with this? What was the question? Authenticity, yeah. That's right. I forgot all about it. I was thinking about how weird I am.
We'll get back to it. No, it's okay. It's okay.
We'll cut that slide out, yeah?
Okay, we'll edit this later. That's
we'll
fine.
do the editing.
Yeah.
So I'm not weird. So authenticity. If you can just tell the world who you really are, share yourself vulnerably, authentically,
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.